Hey folks, welcome back. It's Linus. I want to take a moment to talk about magic spells. So you probably already realized that one of the cool things about adventure survival is that it's pretend, it's fantasy. And so your characters can and do have magical powers. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can get those magic spells, how you use them once you got them, and some of the different types and the two different levels. Alright, so your character's adventuring in the world, and you're probably wondering, okay, well, how do I get magic? So the first thing that you can do is, in theory, when you create a character, you can have a magical spell as a starter item. Again, if you've watched the character creation video, you know that your starter item can't be too overpowered. It's just something to start out with. But something relatively simple like uh, you know, create water spell. You can create like a bucket of water, or mediation is a spell that already exists in the world. If you want to start out with that, that's a magical spell that if you cast it on people in a certain area, no one can fight for 5 minutes. So, another thing you can do is you can go out into the world, and as you come to towns, you're probably going to come to towns with magic shops in them. And in those magic shops, you're going to be able to buy spells for a few gold. How do you get the gold? That's a good question. Oftentimes, you can go around and maybe the shopkeep might have some job for you, or someone in the town is offering a reward for some task that needs doing. Another way you can get some magical spells is by actually learning them from other players, or other characters, or from other non NPCs, non-playable characters. Those are the characters that the game master is running and is helping tell the story. So in adventure survival, you can just kind of be taught spells or teach spells to each other. It usually takes about maybe 5 minutes, and you need some peace and quiet. You can't teach someone a spell as you're like falling off a cliff. So if all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to teach them a spell as we're like falling, it doesn't work. You need a few minutes to sit down and say, hey, I want to teach this person a spell, or I want to be taught this spell. And in the game they sort of show you the hand gestures and the magical words, and then after that you now know this spell. And of course you write it down on your sheet under spells, because it's always important to write this stuff down just so you remember. So there are a lot of different types of spells, or I guess there are a lot of different spells, but I would say what's really important is spells all break down into two basic types of either being a higher level spell or a lower level spell. Most spells you encounter are going to be lower level spells. It means that they are not quite as powerful, but you can cast them as much as you want. There's really no limit on how many times you can cast them throughout your day. And you can also, like I said, you can teach them to other people relatively easily. It only takes about 5 minutes, and you just want to say, I want to teach this person this spell, or I want to be taught this spell. Higher level spells are a little bit more powerful, and they can usually be cast one time in a day before you go and you have to rest. The trick is, though, that high level spells have special items in the world that you can collect that kind of recharge these spells. So, for instance, there is a teleportation spell. We can teleport about 1,000 feet, but you only can use it once a day unless you have a phoenix feather to recharge it, and then you can cast it as many times as you have phoenix feathers. When it comes to teaching spells, high level spells take a little bit longer. You have to have about half an hour to teach someone a high level spell, and really importantly, the person that is teaching it has to have an intelligence level of 10 or higher. So you might get a higher level spell in the game early on, but you won't be able to teach it to anybody else until your intelligence level has gone up a bit. When you're first starting out, if you want to cast a spell, it's pretty straightforward. You choose what spell you want to cast, and you go and you look at your intelligence stat, and you roll a check, and if you're successful, you have cast the spell. And if you are not successful, then, for some reason you didn't quite get the words right, or maybe didn't quite get the hand gestures right, and the spell was not successfully cast. So when you first start out playing the game, if you want to in some way create your own magical spell, there's one way to do that, and that is by using something called sigils. Sigils are it's a skill that you have to be taught. You don't know it right away. You have to go on a quest to learn it. But once you've learned it, you can create your own spells. Maybe there's something out there you're like, oh man, I really want this one spell, but I can't find it in any magic store. It doesn't seem anyone I know already knows it to teach it to me. And so once you've learned the skill of sigils, you can create your own spell by grabbing a little piece of paper and you draw a picture that represents the spell in some way, and then you have to charge it up. You have to do something exciting. Maybe that's running from a bad guy, or maybe that's oh gosh, I don't know, something that, it depends on the character. It's something that would evoke a lot of emotion in your character. And once you've done that, the sigil is now charged up, so you have to place it on something, and then it just kind of works. And like I said, it has to be touching something. You have to place it on something. It has to be sort of touch-based. So later on, when you earn a class, if you're a magic class, you can actually create your own spells a little bit easier. But just starting out, if you have an idea for a spell, you can go and try to learn the mystical art of sigils, and then you'll be able to create some of your own simple spells. Alright folks, I hope this video was helpful. I just went through some of the how to cast a spell, how to teach a spell both low level and high level, and a little bit about sigils and maybe creating your own spells. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, I'm making a whole bunch of videos. Feel free to check them out. And if you have any questions, leave something in the comments below. Let me know. Maybe you're like, oh, that was super helpful. Can you go on more about this one part? Or maybe you're like, Linus, that didn't really make sense. Can you explain it better next time? Because I want to make sure that these videos are helpful for folks, and that you're getting to have fun playing Adventure Survival. Alright, see you soon.